Okay, we're back with the Titanfall 2 crash site map. This specific recording was done with the only HUD options disabled, with the loadout button hints, the tips, and the depth field of view. Depth field of view, as you could just see, is when you aim down the sights, it doesn't blur the background. The tips are the blue notification tips that were popping up during the tech test. They're just a big fucking information circle with blue background. And I'm imagining the loadout button hints is something similar to that. I've never played with them on. I find the amount of crap and clutter on the screen, even with just those 3 things turned off, or essentially 2 things turned off, is too much. One thing, I'm going to move on, because there's something coming up here which you need to pay attention to. See all those grunts there highlighted, glowing, seeing through the wall? See the player in the background because the grunts were highlighted? It was harder to identify the player because everything was highlighted, rather than running around seeing a bunch of grunts, not being overloaded with information and unnecessary highlights on everything. By highlighting grunts and minions and players, you're essentially taking what's been around in first-person shooter video games for years and making them something that they're not. A bullshit thing that an AI computer could play based on kill everything that glows. It's ridiculous and it needs to stop. The other thing that yous have really fucked up on in this specific game is the radar. Just watch for the cones that are popping up everywhere. In the first Titanfall, you didn't have these stupid fucking cones that made no sense. So right now, are those cones for minions? Are they for play? Like, what are they for? Oh, it's just an enemy, just kill the enemy that's magically glowing. It makes no fucking sense. It's overloading information that doesn't need to be there. Another thing that we're going to touch on now is the amount of crap on the screen. I waited till we hopped in the Titan to talk about this because it's much more prevalent as to what I'm explaining. As the Vortex shield recharges, as you've just seen the shoulder laser, watch for the yellow stripe that goes halfway up the screen. See the yellow stripe in the flash? And also watch as our core time builds, how it pulsates. See the vortex again, it just flashes. Unnecessary flashing that's distracting, pointless, makes no fucking sense. Again, we've got more flashing, unneeded flashing. Then in the top middle of the screen, we've got this fucking skull thing that's been there for the entire time, and enemy specters incoming. That's fantastic. I'm glad the game's telling me there's enemy specters incoming. I imagine in a minute they will have landed, and enemy specters will not be incoming. But you tell me, well, I won't hear you reply, but you tell me when you feel that enemy specter's incoming should disappear. Because, to the best of my knowledge, these fucking wasted screen real estate logos and clutter and shit everywhere shouldn't fucking be there at all. But they just magically stay there for unlimited amounts of time. It's fucking ridiculous, man. The other thing that's ridiculous right now that's happening is the amount of times a pilot can just jump back on a Titan. Your smoke doesn't pop up straight away, and it doesn't do enough damage that it'll kill the pilot when you first pop it. The grappling hook can just be spammed to be used. One of the things that people don't realize is these tripwires, you can't jump over them at all. So this guy that was just trying to troll me with his jumps ends up getting fucked up because he's a derp. Probably didn't know you can't jump over the tripwires. So try and take note as we continue to move forward in this shenanigans of ridiculousness. These yellow things still pulsating everywhere. More cones in the radar that are just ridiculously more call cards and call signs and notifications and look more pulsing, and you've got to pay attention to the HUD more so than you do the game, because look at it all. It's not you've got to pay attention, you're almost forced to pay attention to the HUD because the graphics are terrible color coordination. Whoever did the color coordination for this game, honestly, I don't know what's wrong with your eyes, but it's terrible. You've got different kinds of colors everywhere telling you different things. You've still got this enemy stalkers incoming for some unknown reason that still has not disappeared. Oh, sorry, it's changed from specters to stalkers. That's fucking fantastic. I suppose it'll just stay there now until it changes to reapers. And look at this in the bottom left, core extended, we've got all these notifications. You can see why a player would turn all this crap off by default. If you don't know how to get there, you go into your HUD settings under audio and video, and then you go advanced HUD, and you can just turn all this crap off. I would turn literally everything off. I found playing without the amount of clutter on the screen to be much more immersive. I mean, you still have to watch these ridiculous third-person animations in a first-person shooter video game. But, you know, what are you gonna do? That's the way they wanted to build their game. That's, you know, fantastic. You've got this horrible yellow in the bottom left. You've got this yellow pulsating again, telling you something's ready, use this. Because there's so much crap and unnecessary noise on the screen, you essentially you just stop paying attention. So what you'll find is you'll miss out on all of the information, when it should just pulsate once to tell you something's ready, or just not even with the big yellow thing that comes halfway up the screen, just pulsate once to tell me it's ready. Or don't even tell me it's ready, because that's something that, you know, uses skill. If a player knows something's ready, that's because they are skilled, have spent time in the game, have learnt the mechanics, and probably deserve the advantage. But if you're going to pulsate everything on the screen to the fact that you have to turn all that shit off, and even after you turn it all off, you still end up with so much fucking unnecessary noise on the screen, it's just frustrating, man. This whole map is frustrating. In a second, you're going to find that we're actually stuck. We literally get stuck in this back corner. There's no third path out of there. You're stuck. So, unlike Titanfall, where there was usually 3 ways at minimum out of an area, out of a path, to flank to whatever, in this specific area here, you're stuck. You can spawn down there, and you're stuck in this specific spot for no reason whatsoever other than poor map design. It's terrible. If you have not bought this game yet, I would highly recommend you seriously consider whether you could find another use for the $60 or however much it's already going to be marked down to, because it is a joke. To any YouTube personality, to any game site reviewing Titanfall 2 that is giving it consistently high reviews, you can all literally go and fuck yourself. I have seen nothing but good reports coming out of people that you would assume would be telling the truth. And you know what? They're fucking not. This channel has partly been made because of this necessity to tell you guys how fucking bad this piece of shit really is. It is so terrible that I would rather stick shards of glass up my anus. And I don't like to stick shards of glass up my anus. I imagine that would be painful and result in probably hospitalization. Look at the noise still on the screen. You've got call cards, you've got notifications, you've got even the HUD, like that's meant to be, you're meant to be inside the Titan. See how it's just like a black overlay? It doesn't actually make you feel like you're inside of a machine. There's no curvature to it. It doesn't make you feel like you're inside of a concave, like an egg, like Titanfall made you feel. It made you feel like you were the operator. This piece of shit just makes you feel like they've put black lines all over the screen for no fucking reason whatsoever. The HUD is terrible. The color scheme is fucking terrible. Those stupid notifications that stay on the screen are terrible. It's fucking ridiculous. The game is an abortion. if you have not wasted $60 or however much money on this game yet, don't. Save it and use it to buy glass bottles and smash those glass bottles, stick the glass up your anus, and then go to the hospital. Because maybe when you go to the hospital, you'll meet the love of your life. And maybe the $60 that you saved on Titanfall 2 will result in more joy from something that originally caused you much pain by shoving the shards of glass up your tight little anus, that it was just worth it. This end screen doesn't even take up the full size screen. They couldn't even make it the end of the game when it's just showing everybody the score, it's taking up the full side of the screen. Fuck Titanfall 2, fuck Respawn, you fucking ruined it, you pieces of shit.